It's another one of those big New York baseball weekends. All roads and all subways lead to Yankee Stadium this weekend for the Yankee Stadium half of the Subway Series. And some Yankee fans, some Mets fans, and all baseball fans. Sunday Night Baseball is here too, presented by Bank of America. And the New York Mets, for the first time in Subway Series history, with a chance to sweep the Yankees at the big ballpark in the Bronx. Mets-Yankees, that's our matchup. The big crowd is gathering. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. And what's going on with the Yankees right now, Joe? I mean, they still have all these great names in there. Jeter, A-Rod, Sheffield, Matsui. I mean, and guys having big numbers as well, just like you would expect. They still have the great Rivera out in the bullpen to close, and he's having a good year. And they still have Randy Johnson in that rotation, five-time Cy Young winner. He's going tonight. And they still have the great manager Joe Torre sitting in the dugout. And yet, they can't win. What's going on?
Well, I still think it all goes back to Joe Torre. For the first time, I don't think Joe Torre has all the answers. He's never been in this situation before. Normally, Joe Torre knows all the buttons to push to get the players to play well. Right now, he's still searching. He's pushed a button here, it works for a few days, and then all of a sudden it's not working. And that's, you can look at tonight's lineup. Tony Womack in center field. That tells me that he's searching. Kevin Reese in left field. I mean, he's still searching for the identity of this ball club, which is unbelievable at this stage of the season. All right.
Meanwhile, the Mets, a week ago, they were coming off a horrible West Coast trip, but they've gotten hot back here on the East Coast. And Cliif Floyd, what a weekends he's having. 3 home runs here in the first 2 games. He's got 20 home runs for the year. But they've needed a big year from Cliif Floyd because Carlos Beltran has not yet started to produce.
Well, I think we're going to start to see him produce, John. He's healthy now. And you're not going to see the guy that hit 8 home runs in 8 games in the postseason last year. But what you will see is an excellent baseball player, a guy that runs well, plays great defense, and he can hit. And now that he's healthy, I think you'll start to see the real Carlos Beltran. I think he's been pretty lucky so far because Pedro Martinez has deflected all the attention away from him, and people haven't noticed that he hasn't hit so well.
All right, so both clubs at 500. If the Mets win, they'll gain ground on Washington in the National League East. The Yankees
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Bank of America, higher standards, and in part by the 275 horsepower Acura TL, a higher form of performance, and Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, where improving home improvement never ends.
Yankee Stadium on a beautiful night. We've got a heat wave here in New York. The Mets and the Yankees one last time. The Mets have taken the first 2 games here and lead the season series 3 games to 2. The Mets batting order now presented by Bank of America. The exciting Jose Reyes, the young shortstop, leads off. Then the veteran Mike Cameron in right field having a fine season. Carlos Beltran in center field hitting 3rd. Mike Piazza is the designated hitter batting cleanup. Cliif Floyd having a huge year. 20 home runs already. 3 this weekend. David Wright, another young, exciting talent for the Mets, 3rd base. Chris Woodward is at first base tonight. Doug Minkiewicz on the disabled list now. Ramon Castro does the catching, hitting 8th. And the second baseman is Marlon Anderson, former Philly, batting 9th. All up against Randy Johnson, the big unit. And he's coming off his worst performance as a Yankee last Tuesday here against Tampa Bay.
Well, you see, he still has won 7 ball games and only lost 5, but his earned run average is not what they expect. And he needs to get his slider to start off the plate outside and then catch toward the outside corner. I mean, his fastball is still pretty good. It's not great. And remember, it's not just about velocity. It's about movement on the fastball.
Randy Johnson, the first pitch. A strike on the outside, and we are underway. .79 degrees, the official game time temperature. And there's ball 1 to Reyes. Reyes is a free swinger, to say the least. Reyes. And that's a foul on the 3rd base side.
And there's the slider we're talking about, John. Not a bad pitch, but he used to be able to start the slider off the plate outside. he used to be able to start it out here and then catch the outside corner. But now he's starting it more. You see where that ends up in the middle of the plate. That's the difference right now in the Randy Johnson that I used to see. I mean, he was no right-hander could ever handle that slider that started off the plate outside and broke over because they would give up on it. Now he's catching a lot of the plate with the slider.
Jams him, and Reyes gets a piece of it. And the count still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reyes has only walked 9 times, 267 batting average, and only a 287 on base percentage. But they think he's got a chance to one day be a great star. Right back to Johnson, who barehands it. And there's one away. Now let's go down to Sam Ryan.
John, while Joe Torre's Yankees are looking for some answers, Willie Randolph's Mets are looking for the sweep of this round of the Subway Series, looking to do it in the place where Willie spent 13 years as a player, 11 years as a coach. Now, Willie told me, hey, I had some chances to reminisce about some of the good things I did here with the Yankees, some of the success I had. It gave me goosebumps. He said, Yankee Stadium, this is the biggest sports stage in the world. He said this feels like his home, but make no bones about it. He did add, once he gets in the opposing dugout, it's all business. He just wants to win the game, gentlemen.
All right, and there's strike 1 to Mike Cameron. Randolph got a warm welcome here Friday night.
Well, rightfully so. I mean, he was the guy that was here when a lot of these young players came up. He helped, tutor them. Derek Jeter, when he came up as a shortstop, that was his infield coach. Alfonso Soriano, who is no longer here, a lot of the players who came here on the infield, he taught them.
Strike 3, and he blows Cameron away.
And Cameron has always had problems with the big unit, and he's never been able to have much success. And I saw him before the game, and he said he's just going to try to work at it harder tonight. But you see the target, the high fastball, he doesn't get it up there, but he still gets away with it. It was supposed to be a fastball up and out of the strike zone, but that one caught the strike zone.
Cameron has struck out 14 times in 23 lifetime at-bats against Johnson. There's that backdoor slider that misses to Carlos Beltran. Beltran is hitting .266, 9 homers, 37 batted in. Right back to Johnson. And the underhanded throw. Piazza left on deck. And that was total dominance by the big unit. A strikeout and 2 comebackers. Now the Yankees are coming up.
He has only struck out 4 hitters in his last 4 starts, so that tells you something. And, he needs to limit his pitch count, but when you're not striking out a lot of guys, you automatically have a lower pitch count. He has struck out, he's had 2 games out of those 4 where he didn't strike out 1 batter. And I don't think you can beat the Yankees letting them put the ball in play all night. So I think he's going to have to strike out a couple of more hitters tonight if he's going to go deep in this ball game. You let them put it in play, and a lot of them won't come back.
So here's Derek Jeter on his 31st birthday. First ball swinging and a foul back out of play. He has the 2nd most hits in Yankees history. As a Yankee fan, remembered it was his birthday and brought a sign proclaiming same. He has the 2nd most hits for any player in Yankees history before his 31st birthday. The only Yankee with more on his 31st birthday was named Lou Gehrig, and he had 7 more. There's Reyes, the young shortstop, throws out Jeter, the veteran.
And that's what Benson's going to have to depend on. He hung the slider there. Jeter did not hit it well. But he's going to let him put the ball in play. He's going to have excellent defense behind him. And that has not always been the case with the Mets this year. They've made some mistakes on the infield. Although Jose Reyes has really played well lately. He had a few errors early in the year, but he's only had 1 in his last 29 games.
And that's a called strike now to Tony Womack. Tony Womack, a veteran, and we always think of Womack as a second baseman or a shortstop. He was the shortstop with the Arizona Diamondbacks when they beat the Yankees in Game 7 of the World Series in 2001. Little flare, center field. That's going to fall, base hit. And that's the first hit of the game. And Womack is still a great threat once he's on base to steal a base.
I was talking to Gary Sheffield before the game, and he was talking about Carl Crawford from Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He said he makes the whole team tired because they have to watch him so much. He said when he gets on base, it destroys all the defenses. He said he's amazing.
Well, Crawford, one of the fastest men in the game.
That's what he said. He said he's the fastest guy. He said reminds him of Vince Coleman.
Crawford had 22 steals at the start of the day for Tampa Bay. Now here's Sheffield. And that's a ball outside. Benson defeated the Yankees back in May at Shea Stadium. In fact, he won the game facing Randy Johnson. He pitched 6 shutout innings in that ball game. And a slider in there for a called strike. A-Rod is on deck. You're into the Yankee power now, and you stay in there for a while with Sheffield, Rodriguez, Matsui, Giambi. Now the Mets have not done well at throwing out base stealers this year. Of course, Piazza is usually the catcher. Castro in there tonight with Piazza DHing. And back to the bag is Womack, but Womack has 18 steals this year, and he's only been thrown out 3 times.
I'm not so sure he'll run on this particular pitch because the threat of him running takes a little bit of Benson's concentration away from Sheffield, and you can help him by staying at first base and forcing them to think about you.
He held a long time there, and the low strike called, and Sheffield thought it was too low, and he turns to say something to Jerry Crawford about it.
Well, he caught the knees on the inside corner before it sunk down. Remember, it's where it crosses the plate, not where the catcher catches it.
Sheffield gets up very close to the plate, slightly open stance, wiggling that bat back and forth. 1-2 the count. And a foul that will go back out of play. Yeah, I watched the highlights last night of baseball tonight and saw the rookie Ricky Weeks, the young shortstop with Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And he hit a home run, his first home run yesterday, and he's got a Gary Sheffield look at the plate. I mean, he wiggles that bat back and forth, kind of wrapped back behind his right ear. I mentioned that to Sheffield. He said, yeah, several people have told me that, but he hadn't seen him yet.
Well, Sheffield started out as a shortstop with the Brewers, remember?
Yeah. 1-2 the count. And off the outside with that cutter, and the count is 2-2. He both throws a slider and a cutter. That one 89 miles an hour. That little break on it. 2-2 the count to Gary Sheffield with A-Rod on deck. So far, no movement by Womack, but you seem to figure that was going to be the case with the slugger at the plate. Nonetheless, another throw over there.
Well, now that the count is 2-2, I wouldn't be surprised that he would go. But I think early in the count, in the at-bat, you want to give Sheffield a chance to drive you both home. And you can do that again by just being at first base, and Benson knowing that you might run, you know, changes the way that they will pitch to Sheffield.
Can't be much concerned that he'll strike anybody out. He's had only 4 strikeouts in his last 4 starts combined. He's not running. Sheffield, little tapper. Benson fields it cleanly. They get one. Back to first. Cliif. Sheffield still runs pretty well. Marlon Anderson made the across the body turn at second base.
I didn't think they even had a chance because the ball wasn't hit that hard. But Anderson did a good job of getting the throw away at second base and making it close at first. And watch how quickly he gets rid of the ball. And it's made it a close play at first base. A lot of pressure being put on him by Womack. You see, he takes his legs from under him.
Marlon Anderson has not played all that much second base this year. He's been the Mets' best pinch hitter. So 2 down. Sheffield now aboard, and here is Alex Rodriguez. He's got a chance for a triple crown this year, the way things have gone. He takes a strike. And you shorted him on his batting average when you talked to him before the game.
I don't, you know, I'm not into statistics. I just know he was having a good year. I know he was leading the league in RBIs or something. I mean, 20 home runs. I mean, he's doing great.
Joe had a little chat with Alex Rodriguez. Maybe we'll hear bits and pieces of that throughout the night. But you said he was hitting 320.
Yeah.
And that really hurt.
Well, I don't blame him.
I mean, he's a hitter.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
He said if you'd been a pitcher, he could have understood it. But as a hitter, he says, how could you take 10 points off my batting average like that?
And it was really cute because, I mean, the way he did it.
Well, he's 4th in the league in batting average, tied for the league lead in home runs, right up there in RBIs. Sensational year for Alex Rodriguez, except in that one column where he and his Yankee teammates are really aiming for, and that's the win column. They've lost as many as they've won, and if they lose this game tonight, the Boston Red Sox will have a 7.5 game lead over them, and the Yankees will fall behind Toronto into 4th place. 0-2 the count, and that's too low.
But guess what, John? There's still a lot of games to be played, and we've seen the Yankees get hot. They were 16-2 at one stretch, although that was against teams under 500, but they're still capable. When you have a lineup that's as strong as the Yankees lineup, you are capable of getting on a hot streak and putting a lot of wins in a row together.
After tonight's game, they hit the road. They're going to Baltimore, after which they go to Detroit. That's a pop fly, shallow right. This one could be trouble, but Marlon Anderson makes the play. Very nicely done. Right in front of Mike Cameron, and that's the inning. Piazza coming up, and then that man, the red-hot Cliif Floyd. Now the Mets into the 2nd inning against Randy Johnson. Johnson and Piazza here at Yankee Stadium with Cliif Floyd on deck. And a slider in there for a strike. Piazza has not been hitting many home runs this year, hitting only 8 home runs so far. He does have a .268 average, and his average has been climbing lately. But he said before the game, after Cliif Floyd hit a spectacular home run here the other night, a writer came up to him as Piazza fouls one away. A writer came up to him and said, man, have you ever seen a ball hit that far in your career, Mike? And Mike said, well,
Maybe,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. I've hit a few, maybe. And he was a little astounded at the question.
Man, he just missed that one.
Waiting in center, Tony Womack in his first major league game as a center fielder. And he got a nice, easy chance. There's one away. And here comes Cliif Floyd, who has been hitting them all weekend here. And on Friday, against Mike Messina, that was a screamer into what used to be the Yankees bullpen in the old days. And then Sean Hen gave one up to him yesterday. That was upper tank. And then later he hit another one into the bleachers. He's got 20 home runs this year. And Felipe Alou was his first big league manager in Montreal. And Felipe, every time Floyd has a big game this year, he says, well, it was always a question of him being healthy.
Right, that's true.
Felipe always believed that he had this kind of ability.
Well, he's always had good seasons. I mean, even though they're half a season, 3/4 of a season, you know, even when he was at the Marlins. But I mean, he's been healthier this year, and he hasn't been perfectly healthy. And as soon as we say that, he fouls one, looks like off his knee.
That hurts.
Yeah, off your knee is.
He is in severe pain right now. Does not want to put any pressure on that. One of the Mets trainers comes out. Ray Ramirez out to see if he can be of some help to Floyd.
That's nothing but bone there, and he hits it right off the inside of his left knee, his right knee. Man. We've seen a lot of times when a hitter will hit it off his foot, his instep, or even his shin. Very rarely do you see a ball hit off a guy's knee. John, I was just sitting here thinking about all the, you know, the changes the Yankees have made. Kevin Reese in left field, Tony Womack in center. And, you know, Tony Womack continues that long line of power hitters for the Yankees. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, and now Tony Womack in center field for the Yankees.
Well, so they have a lot of power in this lineup, but just not in center field.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Cliif Floyd's going to be able to continue, although he's hurting.
And remember a couple of years ago, Jermaine Dye broke his shin. Remember, bone there hitting the ball off. I mean, if you hit the ball straight down with a lot of power like Floyd has or Jermaine Dye, I mean, you're capable of really injuring yourself. And not a lot you can do other than not swinging inside pitches.
1-1 the count, and the slider in there for a strike. 1-2 the count to Floyd. Floyd grew up in the Chicago area, and his favorite player when he was a kid was Harold Baines of the White Sox, who was also a left-handed hitter. And he said the first time he ever saw a White Sox game at the old Comiskey Park, struck him out. Johnson got him for out number 2. Now let's check in with the studio and Dave Revson for a Sports Center 30 at 30.
Thanks, guys. Birdie Kim, who had missed 7 of 13 cuts on the LPGA Tour this year, the unlikely champ in the U.S. Women's Open. Spectacular birdie out of the bunker on 18 to win. Michelle Wie in 82 today. She and Annika Sorenstam both finished 9 back. Mark Pryor back from the DL, retired 18 of the 19 batters he faced. Outdueled John Garland. The Cubs take 2 of 3 from the White Sox. They win at 2-zip. Complete highlights after the game on Sports Center.
All right, thanks, Dave. And there's strike 1 to David Wright, the Mets young prodigy at third base. Wright hitting .295, 11 home runs, 40 batted in, and he gets the Mets first base hit against Randy Johnson tonight. The big unit had retired 5 in a row to start it off.
And he got the fastball up on the inner half of the plate. He jammed him a little bit, but he still hit a line drive because it was up. Pitch is up. There's a slider that hangs in the middle of the plate. That's the pitch that's been getting him in trouble. They've been hitting a lot of home runs off of his slider. It kind of stays in the middle of the plate.
Here's Chris Woodward, and there's ball 1. He's playing first base tonight. Doug Minkiewicz was placed on the disabled list before the game with a hamstring problem. Jose Offerman was brought back from the minors to take his spot on the roster. So here is Woodward, who can play all over the field. Managers love guys who can do that, who also can hit. He's hitting .318 with 2 homers and 10 batted in 85 at bats for the year. No score in the game. We're at the top of the second. Cliif Floyd said his first game that he ever saw at the old Comiskey Park, he was a teenager, and he was shouting at Harold Baines. He loved Harold Baines. And then Harold was coming in. He looked at him and said, "How you doing, kid? You having fun tonight?" And tossed him the baseball that he was carrying. A high fastball. Look at that, 95 miles an hour. And it is 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Woodward. So Harold Baines was his absolute favorite from then on.
He's thrown 1 pitch at 97. At least it was clocked at 97. And that one was 95. 97 has been the high point.
Womack in a hurry. He got it. That's the inning. Nicely done by the new center fielder Womack. When we come back, a live interview with Yankees general manager Brian Cashman. To bat against Kris Benson, no score in the game, and a changeup, and it's 0-1.
See, that's the pitch that Womack took away from Benson with Sheffield at the plate, because you can't throw changeups and off-speed pitches with a base stealer at first base.
Matsui injured his right ankle in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago. He's not been able to play the field since, although I asked him before the game how that was now, and he says he's just about ready to be able to get back out there.
Well, I saw him running the bases a couple of days ago, and he was running really well, so I think he is close to getting back to the outfield.
1 ball, 1 strike. Giambi on deck. That's a high pop-up. Marlon Anderson goes out, the second baseman. And Matsui is gone. 1 away. Now let's go to Sam Ryan. Sam?
And John, joining me right now, the general manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. Brian, when I asked you Friday how you were doing, you said, you know, it depends on what week you're asking me. Jorge Posada yesterday after the game called it embarrassing. Joe Torre today said, we're tumbling, we need to pick ourselves up. How do you describe the team's play of late?
Yeah, I mean, it is embarrassing. I think Jorge nailed it correctly. We're better than this. You know, our record doesn't reflect it. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes by everybody in this organization to get it going in the direction it needs to be going. But unfortunately, those efforts aren't reflected in the win column enough. And you know, so we keep searching for the answers. It's been a challenge. shouldn't be that much of a challenge with the talent we have, but unfortunately that's where we're at. But you know, I feel that, you know, everybody, including myself, we're up for the challenge, and we got to find a way.
You say that, and you have said nobody's job is safe. Expand on that, please.
Well, you know, I was asked a question yesterday, or the day before, if I felt, you know, job security, and certainly I don't think I feel job security. I don't think anybody should feel job security. But in the same stretch, I'm secure in the job that I know I can do, and I'm certainly a big part of fixing this and finding a solution is going to be with the answers that I can, you know, try to come up with. And I feel it's on my shoulders right now to work, you know, to come up with everything. I think that Joe Torre and his staff down there have done everything to this level that they can possibly do to try to get this team going in the right direction. And I think these players are obviously doing everything they possibly can do. But you know, if it takes you know, shuffling it up a little bit, you know, so be it. You know, we started some of the process earlier in the season with Cano and Wang, and now we have a Kevin Reese up here. We're searching for bigger answers than just that.
Oh, we got 3 outs. We got to go to the top of the 3rd coming up next on Sunday Night Baseball.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Bank of America. Brought to you by Nissan, who reminds you to shift the way you move through the world. And Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
And these beautiful aerial views in high definition above Yankee Stadium, courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. And they're wishing Derek Jeter a happy birthday. Jeter, at the moment, can't look up there to see that, but we'll pass it along to him. 0-2 the count to Ramon Castro, leading it off for the Mets here. Marlon Anderson and then Jose Reyes to follow. That one is hit hard in the left field for a base hit just in front of the Yankees rookie left fielder Reese, who's in his major league debut. Kevin Reese.
And you know, Randy's still throwing the ball pretty well, but 0-2, you're not supposed to let a 237 hitter get that good a swing at you. No balls and 2 strikes. Remember, he's ahead in the count. You see the catcher wants him to bounce it. He doesn't bounce it. Right there in the middle of the plate almost. And therein lies part of the problem. A lot of those sliders to right-handed hitters have gone out of the ballpark.
Marlon Anderson.
Well, this has to be difficult. Let's take a look at this pitch again. I'm going to show you something. And watch the catcher. Watch where he puts his glove, right down here. He wants him to hit the ground. Does he hit the ground? No. That's where an 0-2 pitch should be when you're ahead in the count on the first hitter of the inning.
Anderson into right center field. That's into the alleyway. It rolls through to the 385 marker. Castro is a slow runner. He's got catcher's legs. Stops at third on a double by Marlon Anderson. Second and third. Nobody out, on the top of the order coming up.
Well, this is a fastball. I don't think it's a bad pitch, but Marlon Anderson stays in there and rips it into right center field. And watch the location. Watch the target. Always watch the target. He almost hits the target, but again, he gets a lot of the plate. The target was set up on the outside corner, and he got a lot of the plate. And only because Ramon Castro is running, they do not score a run on that double.
Reyes into the hole at short. The infield was playing back up the middle. Off the bag, but Giambi tags out Reyes. Castro in to score with Anderson holding at second base. And Reyes knocks in the first run of the game, getting a ground ball to one of the middle infielders on the first pitch he saw.
You know, obviously Reyes drives in a run. But when you have no one out, runners are second and third. If he hits that same ground ball to the right side, not only would the run score, but the runner at second would move over at third base, and then you'd have a chance to get another run with a fly ball. I mean, that's called situational hitting. You can't take anything away from me. He drove in the run, but a better play would have been to hit the ball to the right side.
So drives in the run and sets up another run.
Moves up the run. Yeah. Now it takes a base hit to score the run, whereas if that ground ball's to the right side, then if Marlon Anderson's at third, he can score on a fly ball or another ground ball maybe.
Now Mike Cameron getting him home without a hit would be his best hope against Randy Johnson.
Exactly.
He's had
That's why I mentioned it.
one hit in 23 lifetime at bats against the big unit.
And he struck out the first time up, and he's 0-2 here again.
Now, he struck out 14 times in 23 at bats, including his one strikeout tonight.
Well, let's see what kind of pitch Randy makes this time. 0-2. Not a good pitch. I mean, that was a fastball, and it got a lot of the plate. See, 0-2, you're supposed to be able to get the hitter to chase something. Look at that ball. That's a good pitch to hit. Only because he had 2 strikes on him was Cameron late on that. I mean, location is just more important right now for Randy than the velocity.
Flaherty drops aside. 0-2. Off the glove of Flaherty, and now Anderson is at third on the pass ball.
I don't think he was crossed up. He just didn't get the glove up in time. He wants the high fastball. He gets the high fastball a little higher, and he just can't handle it. And you could see that in the first time up, he asked for the high fastball on Cameron, and he struck him out.
So now the infield comes in all the way around. 1-2 to Cameron. Slider, a pop-up foul and back out of play. And suddenly he finds himself unable to put away Cameron, who's been a guy who's never done much against Randy Johnson. Reyes knocked in the first run, and in effect he got bailed out here with the pass ball. There is a runner at third now.
And if he was at third at the beginning of this at bat, Cameron would have had a better chance of getting him in rather than get there with 2 strikes.
Another 97-mile-an-hour fastball fouled away by Cameron, who is hitting .296 for the year.
And there's Pedro talking to Reyes, who's sitting on the bottom. Pedro is a real key to this ball club, not just when he's pitching.
That one is hit hard. Well, Cameron's getting closer and closer to actually doing something here against Randy Johnson. This may be one of the best at-bats he's ever had against the big unit.
Well, what Flaherty really wants to do, he wants to call for that high fastball again. But, you know, that's the pitch that they struck him out on the first inning. And that was a pitch he called for when he had the pass ball. You know, I'm sure that Randy Johnson knows that Cameron has never been able to touch his high fastball. So you would think that they'd go back to the high fastball to try to strike him out.
He got the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes, and since then he has fouled off 4 consecutive pitches. Still 1-2. And he just got a piece of that one, a slider. So Johnson is getting a workout here from Cameron. This will be the 9th pitch of the battle upcoming. The infield in all the way around. The Mets already with a 1-0 lead.
And I like what the Yankees are doing. They're in. They're not halfway. They're in. They're not going to let the run score. He wanted the high fastball. He got it. That's a good pitch. You know, it didn't work to strike him out, but that was a good pitch. He wanted it up. He got it up. And Cameron doesn't offer at it. Watch the target. He wants it up. He gets it up. And Cameron just lays off of it. He didn't lay off of the high pitch in the first inning.
2-2. Now the slider puts him away.
Well, that high pitch set that up. He got him looking up, and then he went downstairs, changed his eye level, and was able to get him to swing at a bad pitch. Here's the high fastball. And see, your eye level is up here. Now the next one, he changes it. Look where this pitch is. He's looking down as that ball breaks down. And K-Zone says it was a strike. I disagree, but it was. I mean, it looked like it was a little lower already.
So Cameron unable to get that runner home from third, but he gave him quite a battle. 10 pitch at bat before Johnson finally put him away. And hit a mile foul into the upper deck by Carlos Beltran. Beltran, who did not become a switch hitter until after he was playing minor league baseball in A-ball. He became a switch hitter, and he grew up idolizing the Yankee center fielder Bernie Williams, who also hails from Puerto Rico. Infield back, normal depth now. Runner at third, and Johnson misses way outside. That might have been the splitter. I asked Posada about Johnson before the game. Posada, the Yankees regular catcher, has caught him several times this year. He said basically fastball slider as we've seen, but he will use a split finger pitch as a changeup occasionally.
You know, he's thrown one really good slider. That was the one he struck Cliif Floyd out with. The other sliders they're staying on pretty much the same plane. They're breaking across the strike zone or into the strike zone, but they're really not breaking down sharply and out of the strike zone.
Well, you know, when you think of the Randy Johnson slider, you think of a pitch that's basically impossible to hit.
Exactly.
3-1 to Beltran. That's that high slider, but hit to Jeter, and that's the inning. The Mets get a run. Kevin Reese will be the second batter, making his major league debut.
Back here at Yankee Stadium, it's the Mets and the Yankees Subway Series. Hey, the NBA draft this Tuesday night, 7:30 in the Big Apple. Look who's joining me right now. Wake Forest point guard Kris Paul, who's projected to go anywhere 3 to 7, we're hearing. But you're spending some time here in New York City. What have you been doing here?
I actually just arrived here today with my family, but it's been a lot of fun. Got a chance to come see the Yankees and the Mets game.
You were telling me New York's a little bit too busy for you, that you couldn't live here.
Yeah. I think New York is one of those places that you just visit. I don't think I could live here. It's a little too fast for me.
Okay, now some are saying that you're a little undersized at 6'1" for a point guard. I beg to differ, as you can see. But what can you bring to a team?
I think just a lot of confidence and excitement. You know what I mean? I've always, heard that I was undersized growing up, but I think just playing basketball and being challenged all the time has prepared me for that.
You've been called the best point guard in the draft since Jason Kidd. You've been compared to Isaiah Thomas. What does that mean to you?
I mean, that means a lot, and I'm honored. And there's a lot of other great point guards in the draft, but all I can do is go out there and play as hard as I can, and hopefully my team will come out on top.
Kris Paul, good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
John and Joe?
All right, thanks, Sam.
Well, he was Tim Duncan, the MVP of the recently completed NBA championship series, was from Wake Forest. So
how did Tim Duncan do in the finals?
He did pretty well. He did pretty well.
He didn't win the MVP, did he?
Yeah, for the 3rd time.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing that he won this year to have proved himself.
Yeah, exactly.
I was starting to wonder because I thought, didn't he already win 2 MVPs in the finals already? So I think maybe at this time he finally proved himself. This is Kevin Reese, the rookie, 27 years old. Reese last year in Double-A Trenton and a little bit with Columbus had 50 doubles. Most by any Yankees minor leaguer. He was an Eastern League All-Star. Yankees acquired him from the San Diego Padres after the 2001 season for a young second baseman named Bernie Castro. He was originally a 27th round draft choice of the Padres in 2000.
John, I had a chance to talk to him before the ball game, and make no mistake about it, he is nervous. And, naturally so. You're going to be nervous your first big league game, or especially your first big league at bat. Well, he's working his way into a pretty good hitter's count here. So he should get a pretty good pitch to handle.
And Benson seems like he's afraid of it.
And you never forget your first at bat. I don't know, play for 100 years, you'll never forget this at bat.
Well, he gets a walk. So he doesn't even have an at bat yet.
Yeah, but he's probably yelling at Benson, calling him chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw me a strike, meat.
Yeah.
Reese was hitting .272 at Columbus this year, 8 homers, 37 batted in. Mostly a left fielder, only had 3 starts in center field. But the Yankees had so many problems defensively in the outfield this weekend that they figured they better make it some kind of an adjustment. So they made some big time adjustments here tonight. Derek Jeter on his birthday takes a called strike, the low strike there from Jerry Crawford. They not only brought up Kevin Reese, and I think a lot of people thought he immediately would go into center field, but instead they moved Tony Womack into center field for the first time this year. He's been playing left field. By the way, Womack, I talked to him before the game. He said he had never played center field, but apparently he meant as a Yankee because this is his 19th start in center field in his career. Jeter softly hit to Reyes to get the lead runner there. Back to first on a hop. Pulled out by Woodward, but too late to double up Jeter. Anderson's moving pretty well out there at second base tonight.
The only problem, John, is they know where to find him. I mean, he goes to the same spot on the bag every time, and they'll know where to find you if you do that. You need to let them know. You don't have to search for you. Now watch, he goes to the same exact spot he was last time, and you can see that Reese goes in hard and clean, but I don't think they could have gotten a double play anyway. But see, he's in the same spot he was in the last time, and he makes the same throw. And that's, you know, he obviously he wants to make sure, and that's the right way, make sure of one.
Now I'm sending Jeter here for a steal. I know he's getting up there in age now. He's 31. But I'm still wanting to run here because I got a singles hitter at the plate with 2 down.
Well, you know, that's a good point. I mean, then one of the things that Joe Torre has talked about is patient at the plate, being aggressive on the bases. So we'll see.
Jeter, 9 steals, as you saw. Womack, first ball swinging. And that's, I mean, he's a very aggressive swinger, first ball hitter. That's it. On to the 4th inning. Piazza, then Floyd coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Bank of America. Tonight we're at historic Yankee Stadium. It's the all New York matchup. The end of this year's interleague play. The final interleague interlude of the year. Piazza swinging and missing. And it is 0-1 as he faces Randy Johnson. Cliif Floyd on deck. And then David Wright. Piazza flied out to center his first time. 1-0. The Mets are leading. Fastball up and away at 94 miles an hour.
And Piazza has been swinging the bat very well, and he's done well as a DH over the course of his career. So, I mean, this spot fits him very well this weekend. There's the slider we're talking about from Randy Johnson, the one that you can't hit. This is the one. Look at the catcher. He puts his glove on the ground. Look at that. He hits it. That's the one that they're not going to hit. That's more of an 0-2 pitch as well. Now he wants it down there again, but he doesn't get it down there.
That was hittable, but right to A-Rod, who throws out Mike Piazza. 1 away in the 4th, and Cliif Floyd coming up.
John, I want to show you something with Randy Johnson, the one that, you know, the Randy Johnson that I've always had a chance to watch. He used to start this slider out here, and then it would break down out of the strike zone. And now he throws the slider, and it breaks flat across. And that's what's getting him in trouble. See, there it is right there. That's a flatter one. And we saw the one he threw to Piazza down. He missed, and then he threw another flat one, and Piazza hit it hard to third base.
Piazza 0 for 2 in the game. Floyd the hitter now. Struck out his first time. At that slider on the ground to Jeter. And that is out number 2. 2 men gone here in the Mets 4th inning. After interleague play is over with, after tonight, the Mets will get back into it, and which is really quite a race in the National League East with the Washington Nationals, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Florida. Washington finally lost again. Washington's Frank Robinson's ball club has been very hot lately. They lead the division. And Atlanta just swept Baltimore, doing a favor to the Yankees and the Red Sox.
But if you're from Boston, they say Boston really don't think they need any help.
Yeah. That's what I read today in the Boston Globe. Dan Shaughnessy basically proclaimed the race is over, and the Red Sox not only are going to win it, they're going to win it going away. They're going to win it by plenty.
I talked to Derek Jeter and Gary Sheffield about that, and they say, well, we got a long way to go and a lot of things can happen, so we'll just wait and see. They weren't ready to give in yet.
So they didn't say, well, I beg to differ, but they.
Yeah, no, they just feel like that they've got some good runs left in them.
See the standings. The Blue Jays were the team that beat Washington today. They'll move ahead of the Yankees into third place if the Yankees lose tonight, as David Wright fouls that one away. And Dan Shaughnessy in the Globe today said it's okay to say it. Don't worry about jinxing them. The 2005 Red Sox are going to win the American League East by a landslide. 2-2 the count.
Well, maybe he just wanted you to read that on TV.
Well, it worked.
All right.
And they had a quote from Kevin Millar from Philadelphia yesterday. He said Millar came into the clubhouse shouting, "We're going to the series, boys." The Red Sox have won 12 of their last 13 games, starting with Sunday Night Baseball 2 weeks ago at Wrigley Field. Randy Johnson retires the side in order. Sheffield, A-Rod, and Matsui, the power coming up. John Miller, Joe Morgan, and Sam Ryan at Yankee Stadium. And here's the Lowe's home team advantage. Subway Series games here at Yankee Stadium. Interleague play began in 1997. The Yankees, until this weekend, had won all 7 of the previous series here. The Mets got their first Yankee Stadium series win. They clinched it yesterday. They've taken the first 2 games of this 3-game set. Now they're going for the sweep, going for the jugular. Here's Gary Sheffield. The big sluggers are coming up for the Yankees against Kris Benson. And that's just off the outside. Sheffield hit into a force play his first time.
Well, this is the second time through the order. Remember last time Womack was on first. He did not show a changeup to Sheffield because of that. I think he needs to make sure he shows him one in this at bat.
Right over toward the Yankee dugout. 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's a look at the Goodyear game track. Marlon Anderson set up the Mets run with a double to right center in the 3rd inning. And then Jose Reyes, the runners at 2nd and 3rd, hit a ground ball to short to bring home Castro from 3rd. And the Mets had a 1-0 lead. And that is still the score right now. So Reyes has the only RBI in the game. You get 3 big RBI men in a row coming up here for the Yankees. Sheffield off the end of the bat. In and to his right, Cliif Floyd. And that.
Well, that's the pitch I was talking about. He got him out in front of it.
Now A-Rod's coming up, and Joe Morgan chatted with A-Rod before the ball game. Let's listen in.
What's the reason for the inconsistency of this ball club? Offensively.
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously the potential's here to do a lot of things, and we have probably over 90 or 95 games left. So there's no quit on this team. But I think overall what you want to do as an offense is what Joe advocates, is play little baseball, put the ball in play, hit behind runners, and be a tough out. I mean, make a long at bat. The easy outs, I think, is what kills a lineup like ours. And you know, when we do our best work is we grind our bats out, we work counts, we walk, and we do little things.
And I think that was perfectly stated. That's the way Joe Torre likes to play baseball.
It's been a hallmark of the Yankees for several years. Base hit to center for A-Rod this time. He popped out to 2nd in the 1st inning, and a clean single to center here with 1 out to bring up Hideki Matsui.
And a good job by A-Rod. This is what he's been doing a lot of this year. That's why his batting average is well over 300. Is that he's taking the ball away from him and going back through the middle or to right center field with it. He's not trying to pull it. You know, I want to take this a step further, what he said about Joe Torre. Joe Torre says they need to play smart. They need to be more patient at the plate. They need to take the extra base when they're on base. Now, you know, all that sounds good, but guess what? It sounds different to me because it sounds like a football coach giving the players a game plan. And Joe Torre has a veteran team. They should know these things already. I mean, that's what's surprising to me, and that's why I said in the open that I'm not sure that Joe Torre knows how to push all the right buttons for this team yet. He's still pushing, trying to find the right combination. And when he comes to telling them to be patient, to do this, to do that, you know, he's trying to orchestrate this team maybe a little bit more than, you know, he has to do in the past.
1 ball and no strikes to Matsui. Big hole at first base is open with A-Rod over there, and Woodward, the first baseman, on the bag with him. Now it is 2-0 to Matsui. Bernie Williams in the dugout, and Bernie's travails out there in center field this weekend in the first 2 games is part of the reason that Tony Womack is now playing center field tonight, and they brought up Kevin Reese from the minors to also help man the outfield. Bernie been an excellent center fielder for a long time, but this weekend nothing has gone right for him out there.
Well, he's had the bad knees and legs the last couple of years, and he just doesn't have the speed that he had before. I still think he's a very valuable part of this ball club. He's going to have, if they can get him some at bats at DH or whatever, but he's no longer the defensive player that he was. But, you know, I mean, that's going to, time always takes its toll on the center fielders. And this is a big, big center field to play. This Yankee Stadium, you know, you have to have it cover a lot of ground out there in the outfield. Not only going side to side, but you have to come in, and it's a lot of room there. I mean, there's a lot of room out in here.
399 to left center, 408 to straightaway center. And whatever the Mets were hitting, Bernie was having a problem with it, whether it was a deep fly ball that got over him or a pop fly that fell in front of him or just a routine fly ball that he dropped. He dropped a fairly routine fly ball here on Friday night, and he had problems with his throwing. They were running on him, or one time he made a catch on a ball and forgot how many out there were and allowed somebody to tag up and move up a base. So it just, everything went wrong for Bernie all weekend long, and the Yankees have made changes since yesterday. Matsui the hitter with A-Rod at first and a changeup, and now it's 3-2.
And he's tried not to give Matsui the fastball out over the plate. It's tough to pitch Matsui inside. That's his weakness. But it's tough to do that here at Yankee Stadium, because if you miss with it, he's going to hit it out of the ballpark. That's a beautiful changeup right there. You see he's way out in front. He was trying to jerk one. And you can handle him inside with the fastball, but if you move it out over the plate just a little bit, he's going to hit it out.
3-2 the count. A-Rod at first.
He will
runs
go.
well. He's going. High pop-up. Woodward, not much room in foul ground here. And it's well back in amongst the spectators, out of play. 3-2 the count. Well, we talked about Bernie and the problems he had Friday night. In the second inning of game one, he dropped that fly ball. And yesterday, more problems. Couldn't pick that one up. It got through. Then a pop-up. Not quite. And then Bernie, who's one of the most serene players you'll ever meet. And the frustrations were overflowing for Bernie yesterday. I've never seen that from Bernie. Not where you could see it in any rate. There's ball forward to Matsui with Rodriguez running in the play. Matsui draws the walk, and the Yankees get a runner into scoring position for the first time against Benson.
Well, Bernie Williams is a very proud player. That's one of the reasons he's been such a great player throughout his career. And I can understand that frustration fits in, because he knows that he's supposed to make some of those plays, and he didn't make it. He knows if he's healthy, you know, 4 years ago he'd make those plays. You know, but after the injuries have taken their toll, there's really not a lot you can do. And I mean, it builds up. When you have leg injuries, Mickey Mantle had the same problem. You know, remember, he played center field, and when his knees went out, they had to take him out of center field. I mean, it's unfortunate, but when you have injuries to your legs, you can't be a great center fielder, but you can still contribute.
Well, he not only has been excellent for many years, but the list he's on there kind of says it all, with Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio. Here's Giambi, and this is. Not so long ago, Giambi was the guy you wanted up there with men on base like this. You needed runs. You had men on base. This is the guy you wanted up there.
Well, he's always been a good RBI man. Look at this. They got 3 guys on this side. I don't know if you can do this, give him that big a hole with, you know, a runner in scoring position.
1 ball, 1 strike. That fastball sinking low. Giambi hitting .256 with runners in scoring position. And just to give an idea, Giambi is hitting .314 in the month of June, and in the last 10 games hitting even better than that. Giambi flied out deep to left center his first time tonight. Toward the porch in right field, down the line, hooking foul and into the upper deck.
Well, you can see what they're doing. They're going to throw him a lot of changeups, and that was a changeup, and he got out in front of it. Benson has a great changeup. I mean, that's one of his best pitches. And he's trying to keep these guys off balance with the changeup. You can see that ball moving, and changeups on the inside part of the plate, which is even more difficult to keep fair if you're a left-handed hitter. And Giambi pulls it foul.
A-Rod at second, Matsui at first, 1 out. High fastball puts him away.
And that's what they've always tried to do to Giambi, is try to jam him with the fastball, and then if you get ahead of him with 2 strikes, you go upstairs and he will chase it on occasion. But that was an excellent job of pitching there by Benson. I mean, he set him up perfectly for that. Let's take a look at the pitches. Right on the outside corner with a changeup, another changeup. He fouls this changeup, and then he goes upstairs with a fastball. So after seeing 3 straight off-speed pitches, you are susceptible to the high fastball. He had not seen a fastball in that at bat, and Benson kind of reached back, got a little extra. And obviously that's Benson's first strikeout. We talked about the fact that he'd only struck out 4 hitters in his last 4 starts.
I mean, he had 2 starts in that stretch where he didn't strike out anybody. There's the list of retired numbers, which are memorialized out on the wall in left field. When they first reopened Yankee Stadium was the left field wall. This is Robinson Cano, the 22-year-old rookie who has been emerging and has become the regular second baseman for the Yankees. He flied out to shallow center his first time tonight, hitting over 280 in the big leagues this year.
And you see the pattern that Benson has developed with these left-handed hitters. He's going to try to get them out with a changeup. Every left-hander in this inning, he's throwing them a lot of changeup. There's another one.
Cliif Floyd waiting for it in left field. And that's the inning. The Yankees do not get the big hit. 2 men stranded. 1-0 Mets. We're going to the 5th inning. Strings is the name of the group.
Oh, okay.
One's a Yankee fan, one's a Mets fan. And they're both here from New York, and they make beautiful music. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kris Woodward, leading it off against Randy Johnson. We're in the 5th inning. Now, coming up later in this inning, we're going to be visiting with Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout. And then later, Joe Torre from the Yankees dugout. We'll visit with both managers live from their dugouts between innings. Woodward chases that slider, and that is the strikeout. Strikeout number 4 for Randy Johnson. One to nothing, the Mets are leading. Willie Randolph will visit with us, in fact, after this inning. Joe Torre at the end of the 5th inning. Also coming up during the 7th inning stretch, the Sunday night sound check. Joe and I got a little sneak preview of that, and we enjoyed it. The jazz singer and musician John Pizzarelli, who's performing right now at the Regency Hotel here in New York.
Maybe we get back in time, we can check him out.
0-1 the count to Ramon Castro. He hits another slider well, but this one is caught by Kevin Reese. Almost sailed over the rookie's head out there.
Look, I think that's one of the reasons they didn't want to bring him in up to the big leagues and put him in center field right away. I mean, Yankee Stadium is imposing enough, and then to put him in the center field, that would have been difficult. You can see he starts in, now he realizes, well, I got to go back a little bit. But he makes the catch anyway. This is a line drive by Castro, and he starts in, and then he makes, but he stayed on the ball, and he made the play.
Well, you know, that's the first fly ball that he's caught.
Yeah.
He needed that one.
Yeah, well, he needed that first fly ball, and you want to get that first at bat under your wing, too.
And he might well be saying right now, thank God it didn't just sail right over me.
Oh, yeah, that's you know, when you come up as a big leaguer, especially you come to the Yankees like this, and they're not playing as well as people you like, the last thing you want to do is make a mistake.
Marlon Anderson, the hitter. And there is Cano, and that is the inning. Johnson has retired 9 in a row. 1-0 Mets. In 60 seconds, we're going to visit with Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout live. John Miller, Joe Morgan with you, and with us up on the high-def monitor there, Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout. Willie, many thanks for coming on with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Willie, you guys are at 500, 37, 37. I mean, is this where you thought you'd be, better, worse, whatever?
Well, I'm kind of greedy, Joe. I always like to be a little bit better, but you know, we've been a little bit up and down and a little bit inconsistent at times. But you know, I think that we're in a good spot. You know, I think we're getting better as we speak, and we'll get better. I just think that you know, we haven't really hit our stride yet, and hopefully it's coming soon.
Hey, Willie, your superstar left fielder Cliif Floyd hit one off his knee. And he stayed in the game, so he must be okay. But what happened? Is he really going to be all right?
No, he's okay. He just, you know, he took him right off the kneecap, and Cliff is a little bit dramatic, so he had to play it up a little bit.
All right, thanks, man.
All right,
thanks,
guys,
Willie.
take care.
Yeah. All right. Many thanks to Willie Randolph. They're getting ready to start the Last of the 5th inning, so we want to let Willie get back to work.
And John, that's exactly what I said about the Yankees. If you're at 500, you can take off. It's when you're 7, 8 games under 500 when you really have the problem. If you're right at 500 and you have a hot streak, I mean, you're in any race. So, and that's what the Yankees are saying to themselves. That's what they were telling me before the game. Look, we're not out of this. All we got to do is get hot, play well for a week or two, and we're right back in it.
If you're below 500, it's really, hey, let's get to 500, then we'll talk about it. Yeah.
So both of these teams technically are at 500 at this point of the season.
They're technically and literally.
Yeah. Well, but if you look at it realistically, I guess the Yankees may be a half a game under 500 right now, since they're losing 1-0 in the 5th.
So you mean if there was a
rain,
huge storm hit right
and
now,
they get out, they make it out, they're out of it. After they bat, they got to bat.
The Yankees had to bat here. Flaherty is the hitter. Then the rookie Kevin Reese on deck, and that slider is off the outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And there's a young fan who's, I think he's telling us, Joe, hey, they're at 500, but they're fighting. This is a fighting group. Must be a fan. Wow, that slider on the outside called strike 3 to Flaherty. And he's gone, and Reese is coming up. That young fan must have been a fan of Russell Crowe in the movie Cinderella Man. Did you see that movie?
Not yet.
You have to see that movie.
I know. I haven't had time to go to movies,
It's
John.
a true story.
I've been working for a living.
It's based on a true story.
I know. Jim Braddock, right?
Yeah.
See, I know the movie.
Were you at that fight?
No, I didn't go to the fight.
Did you ever meet Max Baer?
No.
All right.
No. Met his
down.
son. Yeah, met his son.
Yeah. That's strike 1 to Kevin Reese, and it is 0-1. All right, in his first trip to the plate in the big leagues, he walked. Didn't yet have an official at bat. His mom and dad, as we understand it, flew here from San Diego this morning to be present for his first big league game. And that slider's off the outside from Kris Benson. Benson pitching a beauty tonight. So not only 2 hits and 2 walks, and has a 1-0 lead here at Yankee Stadium. The first time that Benson has ever performed at Yankee Stadium. That was a foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, Kevin Reese got here earlier today, arriving from Columbus. Roy White, who played a lot of outfield here at Yankee Stadium, worked with him about some of the peculiarities of left field here. He shagged some balls out there, took some batting practice, and hit a batting practice home run. Then Joe Torre actually met him during batting practice for the first time. 1-2 the count. And a changeup misses.
I talked to him during the batting practice as well, John. I tell you what, he was nervous, and he should have been. But the one thing, you know, when I talked to him, I said, no matter what happens tonight, you'll never forget this night. So try to enjoy it. And, you know, when your first big league game, you have to try to enjoy it. I know it's difficult, but you have to.
That sinker, tap foul, 2 balls, 2 strikes. You think he's enjoying it so far?
I think he is, yes. I mean, I was going to tell him anything you do here tonight, whether it's good or bad, is better than doing it at AAA.
But weren't you really saying, I mean, when you say enjoying,
yeah,
there's more to that comment.
Well, enjoy the moment, because I mean you're on this big stage. This is what you put on your glove the first time in Little League for. When the first time you put that glove on, you were looking for this at bat, this game.
So he doesn't look like he's enjoying it now.
Well, yeah, he still is. You know what? I don't care. You still enjoy your first big league game.
Savoring the game.
Yeah, you have to. There's more to the game than statistics, getting base hits, whatever. Like I said, when you're a little kid, you know, all those little leaguers around the world today wish they were in his spot. They hope they grow up and get a chance to be in Kevin Reese's spot, and that's what's important.
Bobby Mercer told me the first time he ever played at Yankee Stadium.
You always remember.
He walked to the plate and Bob Shepard introduced him, right? Yeah. And he's all excited, you know, whatever, you know, number 1, Bobby Mercer, center field, number 1. And this huge ovation came up, and Bobby was thinking, wow, this is the greatest stadium, the greatest city in the history of the world. And his second time up, Bob introduced him again, another ovation. And then the third time, and then finally he realized what was really going on. He was introduced, and he was like, well, here comes another. These fans are great. And he looks out on deck, and it's Mickey Mantle coming out on deck. And every time they were introducing him, Mickey Mantle came out on deck, and they started cheering. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, but now if you told me that, if I was Kevin Reese,
yeah,
you said savor the night and enjoy the night. Every time I came up there, I'm pausing until Bob Shepard has finished my introduction, and I'm listening to every word of it.
Well, again, I mean, it seems like a small thing to a lot of people, but that first big league game is really special. You know, mine was a long time ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday, so you don't ever forget that.
Well, Derek Jeter, we had the anniversary of his first Major League game on Sunday Night Baseball about a month ago. I think the Red Sox were here, and we were here to cover it.
And I remember what he said then. He said it has gone very quickly. And it does. I mean, your career goes very quickly. I don't care if you played 22 years as I did or you played 5 years. It all seems to go very quickly.
2-1 the count to Jeter. 2 down, nobody on, and he fouls one out of play. Jeter has been kept off the bases by Benson tonight, which is always perhaps step one in shutting down the Yankees. Keep Jeter from doing something. Jeter has grounded a short and grounded a short into a force play. 6-time All-Star. His mom and dad are here tonight. Dorothy, his mom, and Dr. Charles Jeter, his dad. It's not just the rookies have their moms and dads here tonight.
Well, they live in the area. I think they can come to any game they want. It's a little more difficult for Kevin Reese's parents to get here from San Diego.
Well, especially considering he was playing in Columbus as of yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm also sure that Jeter has his own personal seats too.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
His mom and dad.
Kevin Reese doesn't have Yankee jerseys that people are buying just yet either. And happy birthday to the Yankee captain, Derek Jeter, 31 years old today. And I apologize for using the word old. 31 years young today. How's that? Hey, when's your birthday, by the way?
I don't want to talk about that.
I want to make sure I announce it.
You don't want to talk about that.
Into the upper deck, out of play. 3-2 the count.
As my mom always used to tell me, son, I stopped having birthdays a long time ago.
Well, happy birthday to Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
31 years old. And, you know, the thing is with Jeter, I mean, he literally does not look 31. I mean, he still looks a lot like the young Jeter we remember. He stays in superb shape. And that's a foul, a fastball from Benson. So Jeter battling it out with him. Now, this is one of the kind of at-bat Joe Torre is talking about. I mean, grind it,
patience,
make him throw pitches.
Yeah.
And Castro's out to talk to Benson about it now. Benson has thrown 70 pitches tonight.
I think what they're doing is, you know, they figured that they could get Jeter out inside. Most teams do try to pitch him inside with the fastball. And he's fouling them off. I think maybe he's saying we got him looking inside. We can go away with a slider or even throw him a changeup. Although he hasn't thrown many changeups to the right-handed hitters except for Sheffield. There's Pedro. He's the master of the changeup.
And one of the best changeups in the game. 3-2 the count, maybe the best.
There's a slider. I figured they'd do something different, but you know, I'd almost say that you'd be better off continuing to throw the fastball, make him hit the ball.
Now let's check in with the studio. Dave Remsen for a SportsCenter 30 at 30.
John Birdie Kim, who had missed 7 of 13 cuts on the LPGA Tour this year, the unlikely champ in the U.S. Women's Open, a spectacular birdie out of the bunker on 18 to win. Michelle Wie, Annika Sorenstam both finished 9 back. And the Cleveland Plain Dealer is reporting that Danny Ferry has agreed to become the Cavaliers GM. Numerous media reports that the team is still pursuing Larry Brown as its president. Details on SportsCenter, 11 Eastern.
All right, Dave, thank you. As Tony Womack comes up, Jeter at first, 2 down here in the 5th inning, 1-0. The Mets are leading. And Danny Ferry's dad, Bob Ferry, was an NBA GM for many years. And that's fouled, backing out of play. 0-2 the count to Tony Womack, who has had a single tonight and is flied out to left center. In fact, Bob Ferry, I used to broadcast the Washington Bullets games at one time. And Bob Ferry was the GM in Washington. And he was a GM for a long time. Bob Ferry and Danny Ferry, it's like a dynasty in the NBA. See, I can talk about other sports besides just baseball.
Okay.
Ask me about the women's golf.
Okay. I would ask you who
Bernie
won,
Kim
but
won.
I think you just saw it, you know.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. I'm just following it, Joe. I'm on top of the whole world of sports. I watch SportsCenter. 1-2 the count. Jeter at first. Now, I keep thinking that Jeter's going to be running here. You got a singles hitter at the plate.
Well, I agree with you. I thought he might try to steal it as well, because if he gets thrown out, then Womack becomes a leadoff hitter, which he's very adept at doing in the next inning.
He's been a leadoff hitter most of his career. It's Jeter at first. Woodward on the bag with him. Benson, the pitcher. 2-2. Hit very slowly, and Benson gets it. That's the inning. Sheffield left on deck. 1-0 Mets after 5, and 60 seconds. We'll visit live from the Yankee dugout with Joe Torre. Mets 1, Yankees nothing, and we're very pleased now to be joined from the Yankees dugout by Yankee manager Joe Torre. Joe, many thanks for coming on with us.
Okay, I wish we were leading it this time.
Joe, you know, since I've known you, I've always felt that one of your strengths was always finding the right buttons to push to get the team to play the way you want. But when I watch this team, I've watched it over the last month, it seems that you're still trying to find the right buttons to push to make this team play the way you want it to play on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's unlike any club I've had since I've been here, Joey. The fact that, you know, we've gone into winning streaks, losing streaks, winning streaks, losing streaks. I've had bad clubs that have done that, but never clubs with the talent that we have. So it's really tough to get a, you know, to get a handle on it right now. And you know, right now, Benson's pitching well, but I think we're just pressing a little bit, trying to do too much.
Joe, Randy Johnson, now we haven't seen him except a couple of times this year. How about tonight versus what you've seen from him the last several weeks?
Well, you know, the last several weeks have been fine. He's had 3 of this. I consider this a good outing. He had 3 of the last 4 outings have been outstanding. His last one, where he gave up a lot of runs against Tampa, was tough, but I think his velocity, everything's good. He looks very loose out there.
All right. Well, back to action, Joe. We're going to let you get back to work. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot, man.
Joe Torre, Yankee manager.
You know what, John? I think the telltale sign there, he said he thinks, you know, Benson's pitching okay, but he thinks this team is pressing. That goes back to what we're talking about, pushing the right buttons to keep them from pressing, to keep them, you know, on an even keel. And you know what? I think it's very, very difficult if you're a Yankee player right now, because every day you're reminded that you're a $200 million payroll and that you're expected to do this, you're expected to do that. And I think that is very difficult to do on a daily basis, because if you go in that locker room, there's just, it's packed with newspaper people, news media from all around the country. And you're asked over and over, you guys are $200 million payroll, how can you not be in first place? And I think that's what Joe's talking about when he says he thinks they're pressing a little bit. And that, again, I've never seen Joe Torre not know which buttons to push on his team. And he does know, because he just said that right there to me. Yeah, he said they're pressing. He knows what's happening, but how do you get them not to press when every day they're being reminded that they're a $200 million team?
Randy Johnson tried to put away the rookie Jose Reyes with the high hard one, but Reyes got a piece of it. 0-2 the count. Well, you know, I thought Matsui, now this is a cagey veteran, as professional a hitter as there is in the game today.
Correct.
On a 3-1 pitch, you know, you're supposed to try to get a pitch to pull if you can, but I thought he looked like he was trying to literally just hit a home run.
Trying to hit an 8-run home run.
Yeah,
you're right. No, I agree with you.
That 3-1 pitch, and he just kind of opened up on it like he was trying to launch it into the upper deck.
And that's exactly what Joe's talking about. They're pressing. You know, every guy's taking it up on himself to try to be the guy to jumpstart this offense. And make no mistake about it, I watched them play Tampa Bay the other day when they came from behind. I guess it was 10-2. I mean, all of a sudden, this looked like the lineup that I'd always envisioned them to be. Yet, you know, 2 days later, you're back into the same situation where you're not consistent.
Mike Camera, the hitter now, as Reyes has been retired. Reyes is 0 for 3 in this game, but he knocked in the only run of the game back in the 6th inning. Cameron, meanwhile, is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, which for him is more the same versus Randy Johnson. He struck out 15 times in 24 career at-bats versus the big unit. Carlos Beltran on deck. That is a strike, and it's 2-1.
And, John, one final point on the Yankees. I think maybe they're better off being on the road right now. When things aren't going well, the newspaper, the back of the paper is yelling about this, that, and the other. They may be better off being on the road for a couple of weeks.
Nice pitch. Buried that fastball right on the inside of the knees at 96 miles an hour. 2-2 now to Cameron. Well, this is the end of a 2-week-long homestand, which started beautifully. The Yankees won 6 in a row against National League teams last week. Then lost 3 out of 4 to Tampa Bay, and the first 2 to the Mets. And Cameron hits one deep over the head of Reese. He bobbles the carom, And Cameron, who runs well, is going to easily make it to second. He hit that one with top spin on it. Really smoked it.
We've known every time they've gotten 2 strikes on him, they want to go upstairs to get him to swing through a high fastball. They were able to get him to do that in the first inning. He fought off a couple of next at bat, his first at bat. Now there's another high fastball. He doesn't get it up enough, and Cameron drills it over the head of Reese. I mean, Reese wasn't. I don't think he would have had a chance to catch this ball. He hits at the base of the fence, and it was a line drive. I don't think any kind of way he would have been able to get back. See, that fastball's not up enough. It's not where they've been throwing it. You can see clearly over the head of the outfielder. Hits right at the bottom of the base of the fence.
Now Beltran. And the count is 0-1. Beltran, who has 9 homers, 37 batted in, and he's had injury problems the whole year virtually, and is still bothered by a problem in his upper right leg in the quad. Mets fans here making themselves heard. Yankee fans trying to drown him out, and he chased that. It might have been a splitter.
Well, it was a splitter, but it's his changeup, as you said. It acts as a changeup. That was a splitter. You know, one thing about Carlos Beltran, they were trying to sign him, you know, maybe come to the Yankees. With the start that he's had, he's better off over there because Pedro has deflected a lot of the attention away from him.
1-2 the count. Beltran, who hit 38 home runs last year, and that was just the postseason. Although, actually, he only had 8 in the postseason, which was already remarkable enough. But he hit 38 in the regular season. He is hitting .296 with runners in scoring position. And we got chanting from 2 sets of fans going on here at the big ballpark.
And that's what makes this series so great.
We got Mets fans doing the "Let's Go Mets," and then we got Yankee fans going "Let's Go Yankee," and I'm enjoying it.
But you know, what's interesting here is I think Flaherty was trying to give him an outside pitch. I think you're going to have to see Randy try to come inside, either with a slider or something like that, because he saw Carlos going out over the plate after the first couple of pitches.
Cameron at second. He's running.
There it is.
Strike 3. The throw. Deep. Johnson strikes out Beltran with a slider, but Cameron steals third. His 7th steal.
See, this is what a catcher is supposed to do, or a pitcher, when they work together. Randy saw that Beltran was going out over the plate, so he said, let's go inside. See the catcher set up inside. He throws the slider off the plate inside. Strike 3, and they try to get Cameron. Cameron had a very good jump, but they got the strikeout. Now they're 2 down with a runner at third. But that's what you do as a catcher and pitcher. You work together. Either the catcher sees the guy leaning out or the pitcher does. And in that case, it was Johnson that saw him leaning out because he called Flaherty out to the mound after watching Beltran reach out over the plate on a couple of pitches.
That's Mel Stottlemyre, the Yankees pitching coach, out to visit with Randy Johnson. Also, Giambi's there, the first baseman, and Flaherty, the catcher, and the plate umpire, Jerry Crawford. With Cameron now at third base, 2 down, and the veteran Mike Piazza coming up.
And we're talking about Beltran. Now watch, you know, the pitches that he went out over the plate. His pitches are outside, and he's going out there after them. That tells Randy that he's looking out there. So what did he do? He comes inside and strikes him out. And I think they're trying to decide out there whether to pitch to Piazza or Floyd on deck.
There's ball 1 to Piazza. Well, they might pitch around Piazza, although people are not as much afraid of Piazza as they used to be.
Yeah, but I still think the threat that Mike Piazza, you know, has at the plate still tells you that he can hurt you.
The ball
right. I mean, that looks like they went right after him there with a sinker.
Mets as a team, 3rd worst in the majors in these kind of at-bats in their team batting average. Major League average is .268. Theirs is .239. Mets' best hitter this year is on deck, but he is a left-handed hitter. That was not a foul. It just got away from Flaherty, but Cameron had to hold 1 ball and 2 strikes. But Randy Johnson, left-handed hitters often, I mean, great left-handed hitters have often come up with reasons not to play when the big unit is pitching.
John, what I see here with Mike Piazza, you know, they've decided that they don't think he can handle Johnson's good fastball, and they went after him with 3 straight fastballs. Let's see if they try to get him to chase the slider in the dirt. Nope, another fastball.
Hit very softly, Jeter, and that's the inning. Cameron stranded at third. Now the Yankees' big sluggers coming up. Sheffield, Rodriguez, and Matsui. 1-0 Mets.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Bank of America. Brought to you by John Deere Lawn Tractors. Make your yard a John Deere yard. And Mercury and your local Lincoln Mercury dealers.
We're in the big city. And it's always exciting to be in New York, and especially at Yankee Stadium. And these visual images from above New York, courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. And those views from high above coming in high definition tonight. Sheffield, first ball swinging, bad hop. Wright recovers. The throw offline. He's safe at first. That'll be an error on David Wright.
And John, these are a lot of the problems that the left side of this infield has had, you know, in this season. I mean, I remember a game Pedro pitched great against the Yankees in the series over in New York. He left with a 2-run lead in the 8th inning. They made 2 errors in that inning to allow the Yankees to take the lead and go ahead.
That one hit a little dirt cloud or whatever and came up, and he could not react quickly enough. So the first error of the game, and here is Alex Rodriguez. 20 homers, 64 batted in for the year. He's had a single and a pop out tonight, hitting .331. Into the hole. Reyes off his glove. Might have been a base hit anyway, but when he could not come up with it, that cinched it.
Well, I don't care how good a pitcher is throwing in that particular game. You cannot make mistakes behind him, you know, and start a rally. I mean, in a close ball game, I mean, this is a very, you know, obviously it's 1-0 game. You have to make the plays behind him. We talked about that at the beginning. Benson needs you to make the plays because he's not going to strike out a lot of hitters. And the first ball hit to right should have been an out. This is a more difficult play, but if he's not playing near second base for a double play, I think Reyes may have been able to make that play. He would have been in a better position to get it without diving for it. But when you shorten up for the double play, your range is limited. And you have to shorten up and move towards second base when the runner is at first base and double play is in order. So if they make the first play, I think they might have even been able to make the second play.
Well, here's Matsui. 2 men out and nobody out. Matsui has 57 RBIs this year. He's hitting .333 with runners in scoring position. And the changeup for a strike on the outside from Benson.
And you talked about him being a smart hitter. We'll find out right here because Benson has tried to throw him a lot of changeup. He starts him with another changeup. I think if you're Benson, you still have to throw him a fastball, even if you come off the plate inside for a ball. But you better show him another speed. You don't want him to just sit there and look for the changeup.
Yankees' best opportunity to score right here. Sheffield at second. Alex Rodriguez at first. Nobody out. Another changeup, and he took it. It is a ball and a strike now.
That looked like a pretty good changeup to hit, though, low and toward the end half of the plate. And Matsui is a good low ball hitter. If Benson has that much confidence in his changeup just to throw him 3 or 4 in a row, we'll find out.
Dangerous Matsui at the plate. Fastball on the outside.
You have to show him a fastball. You can't just say, I'm going to throw him all changeup. So now he's set the stage for whatever he wants to do now. With a good fastball right on the outside edge.
Well, and it helps to have that kind of pinpoint control. Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Now Matsui can't lay off of that changeup if it starts in the strike zone.
Giambi is on deck. Benson is ready. Looks at second. This one sinking down and away. 2-2. Came back with another fastball with some movement on it, running away.
That was actually wasn't a changeup the way he's thrown the other one, but it was also wasn't a fastball. It was a fastball that was just, he got some tail on it, which made it act like a changeup. And he wanted him to swing at it because he would get the ground ball, but obviously he got it too far off the plate.
So you like the idea of the pitch?
Yeah, I think it was a very smart pitch, but you know, he needed to get it closer to the plate.
2-2 the count to Matsui. 2 men on, nobody out. In the dirt with a slider. So now it's a full count.
And John, this is what you're talking about when you say the guy's a professional hitter, smart hitter. I mean, he was behind in the count. Now he's gotten the count full. Now the pressure's on the pitcher to have to get him out.
I know you don't like to run with 2 men on and nobody out, but this guy doesn't strike out many guys pitching.
Well, I agree with that.
3-2 the count. There they go. Matsui pops one up. Shallow center, a long, long run. Can anybody get there? Floyd! Back to second, but Sheffield saw it coming. Beltran was so deep in center, it looked like he was not going to get there, but Cliif Floyd, after a long, long run, was able to get there from left.
And John, but I want to give the credit to the pitcher, Benson. He made a 3-2 changeup, and you see he goes down out of the strike zone to get it. And Cliif Floyd broke right away. He didn't look to see where Beltran was. He just said, I'm going to make this catch. Came in and made the catch. So he was going full stride all the way, makes the catch, and that gets the first out of the inning. But an excellent pitch there by Benson.
Well, he hit that foul ball off his knee. Did Cliif Floyd back in the second inning. But he was running pretty well right there.
Well, you said he stayed in the game, and Willie Randolph said he has some actor in him.
What did he say? He says he gets very dramatic.
Yeah.
Sometimes with these injuries. There's Jason Giambi. Well, he of all people can be cut a little bit of a break on that, because Floyd's had a lot of serious injuries in his career. Joe Torre waiting for the big hit, and Jason Giambi, who came up in this same exact situation in the 4th inning. 2 men on and 1 man out, but struck out. Got another chance here. Chance for redemption. But quickly, as he fouls that fastball into the upper deck, he's behind 0-2.
I can't say enough about what Benson is doing. As you see the bullpen, warming up for the Mets. This guy is pitching an excellent ball game in Yankee Stadium against this lineup. I mean, he is mixing his pitches very, very well. He's throwing just enough fastballs to keep them off balance, but his changeup is his best pitch. That's his out pitch, especially against left-handed hitters tonight.
Giambi hitting only .253 for the year with only 5 home runs in 174 at-bats, but he's done his best hitting of the year in the last couple of weeks. Just a base hit would be enough to likely tie the game. The outfield is very deep all the way around. Up and away with that one, and the count is 1-2.
Well, remember the last at bat, he threw him a couple of changeups, got him out in front, and then threw him a high fastball and got him to chase it. And they were just trying to see if he would chase one right there. And that's the kind of pitch you throw 0-2.
There is Sheffield, who reached on an error by Wright to start the inning. Then A-Rod, who got an infield single. 2 men on, 1 man out. 1-0. The Mets are leading. A ball and 2 strikes to Giambi. Benson almost hit him with that slider. Well, are they getting too clever here, Joe? I mean, the last time he had him 1-2, he put him away post-haste with a high hard one.
I think you're in a different situation. He doesn't want to make a mistake. But the one thing to remember about Jason Giambi when he was at the top of his game, he adjusted very well to a pitcher, the changeup. He adjusted to how the pitcher pitched him. And he's been watching how Benson has been pitching all of these left-handers this inning.
2-2. Fastball fouled into the upper deck off to the left.
You do not want to go 3-2, so you want to make this happen right here. And they tried to throw the fastball. I was a little surprised that they didn't go up and in. That one's just up and out over the plate.
Robinson Cano, the rookie, is on deck, another left-handed hitter. Yankees have 5 lefties in the batting order tonight against Benson. There's Cano, number 22. Sheffield and A-Rod, the base runners. 1 out. Benson ready to try it again. And he missed with the sinker. Now it is 3-2.
So that's that pitch he was trying to get Matsui to throw. I think he needs to foul that pitch because he's not getting it close enough to the strike zone that the hitter's going to help him out. He's trying to get the sinker moving away so he can get the ground ball, but he's not coming close enough.
Almost like he's trying to make it too perfect.
Yeah.
3-2. Well, they were running on a 3-2 pitch to Matsui with nobody out.
Well, he threw him Matsui a changeup 3-2. I expect him to throw Giambi a changeup as well.
Reyes trying to keep Sheffield close at second. There they go. He walked it.
Well, that wasn't even close.
91 pitches now for Benson, with Cano, the rookie, coming up. And that's Willie Randolph, the manager, talking to the pitching coach, Rick Peterson.
Now, you really get yourself in a jam because unless Cano hits the ball right at near the bag or something, you're not going to be able to double him up.
So now Peterson out to the mound to visit with Kris Benson. Benson, who the Mets gave a lot of money to stay with him. They traded for him, made a trade with the Pirates last year, even though he was going to be a free agent. So they decided he was a guy that could help them for several years to come. And since coming back from the disabled list, he's gone 6-2 for them.
Well, you see it. I think the key so far tonight has been his control of his changeup, and he's made great pitches with his fastball. Location, location, location. That's been the key so far. And right now, he's struggling with that location.
But that was interesting. I mean, he's only thrown 91 pitches. I mean, could fatigue somehow be setting in? Because some of those pitches to Giambi were the worst pitches he's thrown tonight.
Well, these are stressful pitches, John. They're not, you know, when a 1-0 ball game, every pitch means something.
So the young Cano, 22 years old, broken back. Marlon Anderson gets one.
Right.
Coming in to score is Sheffield to tie the game. But what a play by Marlon Anderson. For a moment, that looked like a 2-run single to right. And then he not only got an out, he got an out in the middle of the diamond to keep the force out in play.
And that is really a big league play right there, because normally you're just going to try to make sure you get one out. But he made sure he got the one in front. He did not wait, you know, just take the out at first base. He took Giambi at second base. I mean, just an excellent play there by Marlon Anderson, and especially from a guy that hasn't played that position all his career.
Well, the Mets, I mean, Marlon Anderson is their third option at second base, ordinarily. They've got Kaz Matsui, and they also have Miguel Cairo, but both of them are on the disabled list right now.
And remember, you know, the error is what started this inning and put Benson in trouble. Otherwise, they could have scored, you know, could have gotten out of the inning without any run score.
There's Jorge Posada. Jorge Posada coming up to pinch hit now for Flaherty, as the Yankees, with a couple of men on, are going for it here. So Posada, who has 10 homers and 37 batted in, a .277 average, is going to come up for Flaherty in the 6th inning in a 1-1 tie. The 1 run in this inning, an unearned run as a result of the error by David Wright that started the inning.
And I think you'll see that he'll pitch Posada very similar to the way that he pitched Matsui and Giambi. He will try to stay away from the fastball. He'll try to get him out with a changeup.
And the changeup for a strike.
Right over the outside corner. I mean, he's making beautiful pitches with that changeup. But again, you know, he doesn't strike out a lot of hitters, so he expects his infield and his outfield to make the plays for him.
Rodriguez, the possible go-ahead run at third. Cano, the runner at first, and there's a ball with a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jorge Posada. He's one of the Yankees who's been here for many, many years through a lot of the great seasons for the Yankees in the Joe Torre era. Left center field hit well. Beltran on the run. Out of the Death Valley, and the inning is over.
That's a center fielder for you right there, John. He just closed the gap on that ball very easy.
Sunday Night Baseball from Yankee Stadium, New York. It's the Mets won. The Yankees won. The Mets try to sweep a series at Yankee Stadium, which they've never done. Jorge Posada stays in the game as the Yankee catcher after pinch hitting for Flaherty. And Cliif Floyd will lead off here against Randy Johnson. Floyd is 0 for 2. Most lefties who face Johnson are 0 for something. Not many lefties hit well against the big unit. There's a fastball in for a strike. Remember Larry Walker when he was one of the best players in the National League? He would sit against Johnson. Rafael Palmeiro would sit against Johnson. And Rafael used to say, he said, you know, there's no point in me playing because whoever we put in there besides me could not be worse than I would be. And truly, I mean, Palmeiro played against him often enough to have, he was something like 1 for 25 lifetime against Johnson, and finally just said, well, you better put somebody else in there who's got maybe a little better chance of getting a hit. But Floyd's in there. Pops it up. Derek Jeter, shallow left. And there is one away in the 7th inning. Let's take a look at the Goodyear game track. Randy Johnson, 6 1/3 innings. 1 run, 4 hits allowed. He's had 5 strikeouts and has not walked anybody. Kris Benson, 6 innings. 1 unearned run is all he's allowed on 3 hits. He got severely tested there in the 6th inning. And considering the error, did extremely well. And here's David Wright, whose error helped the Yankees get the equalizing run. Wright has hit a single and flied out to right in this game to the right fielder. 1 ball and no strikes. Johnson off the outside, and it is 2-0. So Randy pitching a beauty against the ball club that scored 10 runs here yesterday and 6 runs Friday against the Yankees. Fastball at the knees for a strike, 2-1. And also, the Yankees have given up at least 5 runs in each of their last 6 games. The game that they won in the last 6 games, they allowed 11 runs but scored 20. So this is one of the worst stretches of pitching for the Yankees in many, many, many years. So Randy Johnson is trying to put an end to all of that foolishness, although it was in this inning back in May that the Mets got to him big time when they beat him back then. That's a foul ball.
You know, it's interesting with David Wright's error. He has 12 now. He had made 11 early, but he had only had 1 in his last 17 games. He had picked up the pace too, along with Jose Reyes, who has made 1 error in the last 29. So they have been playing better, and that's what you want from your young players, to continue to get better as the season goes along.
2-2 to right. It's a foul out of play off the right field side. 2-2 the count. One thing in the Mets' favor, if they keep shutting down the Yankees tonight, history this year will show that they'll win. The Yankees have not won a game unless they've scored at least 4 runs, which is amazing. That the Mets have won 8 games scoring 3 or less.
Well, I'll tell you this, I wouldn't count on that if I was the Mets tonight with Randy Johnson on the mound.
So it may not be relevant tonight.
No. If I was the Mets, I'd make sure they don't score anymore, the Yankees, and the 2 runs may be enough the way he's throwing.
Johnson has thrown 95 pitches in the game. He's 41 years old, but there are not many pitchers in the American League who've thrown more innings than he has. He's in his 110th inning of the year. Fastball right past Johnson, and David Wright said right back at you and into center for a base hit.
You know, Randy, when that was a fastball and he hit it right back to the middle. We do not see many hitters handle his slider when he gets it down like that to Floyd and to Piazza. When he gets the slider down again with Floyd, and I mean, when he gets the ball down, you can see that they can't handle it. His slider, that is. But he's thrown a couple of sliders up the last game, especially. He got the sliders up and over the plate, and they hit three home runs to be exact. And tonight, they have hit the ball hard when he gets the ball up. But he does have, their sliders a very devastating pitch on a right-handed hitter.
And back to the bag is right at first. Woodward, the hitter. Well, there were published reports this week that Johnson was having back problems. And reportedly, even before his start against Tampa Bay last Tuesday.
Well, that was a report, but Joe Torre denied it.
Well, he said that, Randy puts ice on his elbow, on his knees, on his back. So he must be getting treatment for different things on all of those things. Runner goes. The throw by Posada. Got him by plenty. Cano with the tag.
Well, this wasn't a straight steal. It was a hit and run. And Woodward missed the ball. You see, he doesn't break till he knows Randy's going to the plate. You see him looking in. That tells you it was a hit and run when he's looking in to see where the ball's going. He wasn't anticipating that it was going to be a straight steal, which it turned out to be.
Woodward fouls one out of play. Wright, who got a haircut before the game yesterday, got a buzz cut. In fact, a lot of his teammates said they didn't like his haircut that much. Pedro Martinez walked up and says, "David, we're going to get the guy who did this to you. I promise you." 2 down, nobody on. Stay tuned right after this inning. Sam Ryan will have our special musical interlude. John Pizzarelli, jazz singer and musician. 1-2 the count to Woodward. Ramon Castro would be next. 1-1 in the 7th inning. Randy Johnson has thrown 100 pitches now. No walks for the big unit. Only 1 run. That was back in the 3rd. Castro singled, Anderson doubled, and Reyes hit a ground ball to get Castro home, and that was it. 1-2. Off the outside. Still throwing it hard. The radar gun read out 97 on that one. There's been concern in New York at times this year that 97-mile-an-hour pitch was not there.
Right.
He was throwing 92, 93 most of the time. But tonight he's had a real good fastball. Slider pulled foul. 2-2. Johnson concerned about his health. I mean, there's always going to be some concern when the guy's 41 years old. He'll turn 42 in September. He keeps himself in superb condition, as does Roger Clemens. Right center field. On the run, Womack. No. Stopping at second is Woodward with a double.
Well, that was inexperience of Womack in center field right there. I mean, if we can trace it, he started across and then had to go deeper. But I mean, a guy hasn't played center field. That's what we were talking about before about searching for things. When you have someone like Womack in center field, see the route he takes. He comes across and then back, and that's where the problem you have. There he is. Now he'll run over and then back instead of back at this angle. And watch where he starts. Now he goes across. And watch, he'll end up going deeper. See right there, as he turns and goes deeper, which means that, he misjudged it off the bat of where it was going to land. But again, I mean, the guy's not a center fielder by trade. He's been a second baseman. You know where the ground balls are going to end up.
So here is Ramon Castro. And of course you had that busted hit and run play with David Wright getting thrown out at second base while Woodward was up there. So that in hindsight, looks even bigger now. Castro, he's hit the ball hard twice against Johnson tonight. A line drive single to left in the third, and he later scored a run, and then a line drive out to left field. It almost sailed over the head of the rookie Kevin Reese, who's out there. There's Woodward at second. Castro trying to bring him home. 1-1 in the 7th inning. 2-0. Castro. I mean, you ordinarily don't think of Castro's being the hitter you want up there, but of all the Mets hitters tonight, he's probably had the best success of any of them. 2 very hard hit balls. He had a good rip at that one, fouling it back to the screen.
Interesting pitch there by Randy Johnson because he didn't stop. It was more, he just came up and threw the ball to the plate on that one. It wasn't a pause there or a stop. He wanted to get that pitch to the plate in a hurry, and he just kind of brought his hands up and went ahead with it.
2-1 the count. Off the outside. Well, that was an observation of an old great base stealer, if I've ever heard one.
Well, you know, yeah, I guess you're right.
Base stealers look for that kind of thing.
No,
right?
you know, you're right. You look, you know, you watch a guy, see if he's going to come. Randy did just like this and threw. And yeah, you're right. I guess that's just a habit I have of watching.
Complete stop.
He did after that. I mean, you come set, and then you can go. But you know, I think he just wanted to get the ball to the plate so quickly that he just rushed to it.
Well, I don't think Woodward's a base stealer. He's not looking to steal a base.
No.
He wasn't exactly taking unfair advantage. A hitter might feel like he's being quick pitched, though, right? He doesn't.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, technically it's a balk, but I mean, you're not going to get that call that often.
If the runner was at first base,
right? Then they
different story. Yeah. Mel Stottlemyre's paid a visit to Randy Johnson. First base is open. You got the left-handed hitting Marlon Anderson on deck. Got the outside on that one, 3-2. Castro thought he had a walk.
Well, I think Randy was just trying to hit the outside, extreme outside edge with that fastball. And if he walks him, he doesn't care. And you see, he's out there. Don't be surprised now that he's got 2 strikes. He may say, I have to go after him. Yeah.
That is foul, and just foul by maybe 3 feet or so. He came after him, and Castro is getting one great swing after another against Johnson all night long.
Well, the one thing that Johnson hasn't done with Castro is throwing that slider, just biting down around the ankles.
So that was not the good one right there.
No.
Castro is 2 for 6 lifetime against Johnson, 1 for 2 tonight. Woodward, the runner at second. Way outside to the backstop. Coming around third is Woodward. There's still a lot of room in foul territory here at Yankee Stadium between home plate and the backstop. And Woodward, to his credit, raced to third as if he might have a chance to go home if something had happened to the ball and taken an odd bounce one way or the other. So Castro walks on a wild pitch. First and third now, and Flash Gordon gets up in the Yankee bullpen.
Well, Randy threw another fastball. It's that tailing fastball what he wanted to throw away from him. But this one just gets away from him. In fact, you could see that Posada actually set up inside, and he threw that ball well outside.
So now Marlon Anderson. Now he's a left-handed hitter who has had a hit against Johnson tonight, a double into the gap in right center. Fastball and strike. With both Kaz Matsui and Miguel Cairo on the disabled list, the Mets don't have too many other options. Woodward is the other option at second base, basically. There is Cano. He bottles it. Picks it up. Cliif. And the Mets on the error have gone back ahead. Woodward in to score. The combination of the error plus the previous wild pitch as Castro was being walked, and that is how the Mets regain the lead.
But also the ball in center field that was, you know, scored a double, but, you know, someone like Beltran in center field would have run it down. So both teams are making mistakes late in this ball game. That ball didn't take a bad hop. It just looked like he had his glove too low. He had already made up his mind he was going to go to second base. See, he's already moving towards second base to flip to the second baseman. You got to, you know, instead of catching it first, but because that ball definitely did not take a bad hop. And that looked like he may have taken his eyes off of it to see whether he could go to second or not.
And that got him excited in the Mets dugout.
Well, they're saying that we made an error to get them a run, and they've given it back.
7th error this season for Robinson Cano, which, I mean, that's a high error total for a second baseman.
And a guy that hasn't been here that long. He wasn't here from the beginning of the season.
It's only his 47th game of the year. Jose Reyes is coming up, and Randy Johnson may not believe what's going on here. This inning should have been over. And a confluence of events have worked against Johnson and the Yankees, and now he is out of the game. Flash Gordon coming in. 2 men on, 2 men out, and a big ovation for the big unit as he departs. The Mets lead 2-1. 2 men on, 2 men out. Flash Gordon in to face Jose Reyes, a switch hitter now batting left-handed, and that curveball misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Randy Johnson in an inning where it was a deep fly ball. I mean, well hit by Woodward, but a more experienced center fielder could well have caught it. And then a walk and a wild pitch, and then finally a 2-out error on what could have been the inning-ending ground ball. And suddenly he's out of the game.
Well, you know what, John? I suspect that Joe Torre thinks that he's not 100% healthy, because I don't think he would have taken him out after the mistake. I just think that he feels like he's thrown 112 pitches and he's not completely healthy.
Well, and he threw 28 of them here in the 7th inning, his most high-stress inning of the night, and he is 41 years old. So Flash Gordon in now to try and hold the line here, but he immediately has fallen behind Reyes. 3-0. Cameron, the veteran, is on deck. Now it's 3-1, a fastball in there, and Gordon throws hard. He's got a great curveball. He got off to a very poor start this year, but has been pitching extremely well lately. Of course, the Yankees have been losing all week. This is the end of a 2-week-long homestand. They want this win. Just got a piece of it. And there's the inexperience of Reyes. That could well have been ball 4 with the veteran Cameron coming up, but he was hacking. Now the runners will be going. Castro, and he could use the advantage. He's a big burly guy, not fast. He'll be running with a pitch from second, and Anderson from first. 2-1, the Mets lead in the 7th. There they go. Little dribbler. He's got great speed. And he's in there. The ball eludes Gordon. 1 run is in. Here comes Anderson. Safe. 2 runs score on an 85-foot ground ball. Reyes ends up at second. 4-1 Mets.
And this is what Willie Randolph has brought to this Mets team. Aggression on the bases. I mean, everyone, when they start running, they're going to make you stop them. And that was excellent hustle by Reyes at first base, and then Marlon Anderson coming all the way around as well. Here's where Anderson's running with the pitch, and remember, this is an infield ground ball. I don't think they would have gotten him at first anyway, but Marlon Anderson came all the way around from first base to score.
It'll be scored as an infield hit for Reyes, and then an error charge to Giambi. Now Cameron, a broken bat pop-up. Cano out, Sheffield in. It is Sheffield. 3 unearned runs. The Mets are leading 4-1 at the 7th inning stretch, and let's go to Sam Ryan.
Well, John, this week's Sunday night sound check.